Keeper of the Lost City's Everblaze, Chapter 11. Sophie knew what Grady was hoping she'd say, what she should say, what she wanted to say, but she couldn't make her mouth form the words. "I think it's high time we both get some sleep," Grady said, after an endless stretch of silence. "We can continue this conversation in the morning, or whenever you're ready, no matter how long that might be." Sophie managed to nod. Neither of them said anything as they made their way up the stairs to her bedroom, but as Grady tucked her in, he whispered, "I'll always love you, no matter what, and Adeline will too. You know that, right?" "I love you too," she whispered back. She knew he meant every word, but her palms were still sweaty and her heart was still racing, and when Grady left her alone, she buried her head under her pillow, feeling like everything was spinning too fast. Healing Brant had originally been her idea, and if she could save him from the shattered mess he'd become, that would be truly an incredible thing. But there was one word in that statement that was far more terrifying than any others. One that echoed in her mind long after the sun rose and the darkness faded, ushering in a new day. If. "Looks like you had another rough night," Adeline said, as Sophie stumbled into the kitchen for breakfast. Sophie sank into her usual chair at the table and reached for one of the sugar-covered fluff creams heaped on a platter, hoping it would erase the bitterness on her tongue. But her stomach lurched at the thought of food, even though the food was delicious, a delicious cloud of honey and cinnamon and butter. She set it on the table, tearing at the flaky edge. "What if I can't do it?" she whispered. "Then that's fine," Grady promised, as Adeline reached for Sophie's hand. "If you don't think you can handle it, we totally understand." "No, it's not that." Sophie started at the window, watching the feathered, colorful dinosaurs graze in their pasture. "I mean, what if I can't do it? Mind healing only works if some of the person's consciousness is left to save. And Mr. Forkle told me that the Black Swan had to train all their keepers to preserve their consciousness in a special way, a way Brant wouldn't know. So if the council grants permission and I go there and get everybody's hopes up and then I can't save him, then at least we'll know we tried everything we could," Grady told her. "We would never blame you or be disappointed in you." "That's what you're worried about," Adeline added. Sophie was a little afraid of that, not that she'd admit it. But what if the grief made Adeline go back to crying herself to sleep in Jolie's room? Or worse, what if Grady's guilt and anger finally broke him? "Hey," Adeline said, tucking Sophie's hair behind her ear. "Sometimes I think you're the oldest 13-year-old I've ever met. You shouldn't have a worry crease between your brows." She traced her fingers along the line in Sophie's forehead, her soft touch making Sophie relax. "You should be thinking about what dress you're going to wear, or how you're doing in your Foxfire sessions, or which boy you like best." "Adeline's right," Grady said, scooting his chair closer to them, "though I'm not sure how I feel about the last one, especially if it involves that Sensen boy." Adeline elbowed him. "Sorry," Grady mumbled, not sounding sorry at all. Sophie focused on the table, wishing she could crawl under it. "So it's settled then," Adeline said after a second. "We'll drop all this for now and come back to it when you're older." Sophie smushed more of her fluff cream, tempted to take the easy way out and agree, but it wasn't fair to make Brant keep suffering. Not if there was a chance that she could help him. She just wished there was a way to know if it were possible before everyone was counting on her. Or maybe there was. "Do you think you could take me to see Brant?" Sophie asked. "Why?" Grady was probably remembering Sophie's last encounter with Brant, which had been erratic at best and terrifying at worst. But when Sophie had probed Princess's mind, even though her abilities weren't working right and she wasn't able to heal him, she could tell that there was just a glimmer of his consciousness left. If she could probe Brant's thoughts, she might be able to find the same thing, or she'd know once and for all that his mind was too far gone. Either way, it was better than waiting on if. "It's the only way to know for sure," she said, turning to Grady. He glanced at Adeline, who nodded slowly. "Okay, then." Grady stood so quickly he shook the table. "Finish your breakfast and get dressed. We'll go see him today."